My name is Antonia Anyao, the Programs and Learning Officer at Eco Innovation Center, and it's an honor to welcome you to the fifth and the final episode of the AOT, that is the Art of Technology Lagos 6.0 Pre-Conversation series. Over the past few weeks, we've embarked on an insightful journey exploring how artificial intelligence can shape the future of Africa, and under this year's theme, which is AI and the Lagos digital economy. And before diving into today's discussion, as always, I'd like to give a special shout out to the AOT Lagos, curated by the Eco Innovation Center, and powered by the Lagos State Ministry of Innovation, Science, and Technology. Over the years, the Art of Technology Lagos, that is AOT, has evolved into a flagship event uniting policymakers, thought leaders, tech enthusiasts, and innovators to foster meaningful conversations and craft actionable strategies for building a smarter Lagos. In just 5 days, drum roll please, that is December 5th, 2024. We will converge at the Landmark Event Center for what I like to call the biggest tech conference in Africa as we know it. It is a platform that celebrates innovation, drives collaboration, and charts the course for the future of technology in Lagos and beyond. So if you are watching me, either live on Zoom or streaming on YouTube, and you haven't registered for the Art of Technology, just go to the website www.aot and register for the Art of Technology conference to secure your seats today, because I promise you it's going to be incredible. And I am proud that we get to carry on that legacy today, and I'm excited to continue the journey today. In our previous episodes, yes, we've hosted a lineup of incredible speakers, and I know you can attest to that, especially if you've been following the series from the pilot, which was the episode 1, when we spoke about AI and work transformation in the Lagos digital economy, and we were graced by the presence of Motunrayo and Adewumi Adeniji. And then we also had a precede to that, which was the episode 2, Innovating with AI to Build Products for the Digital Future. We were joined by Manuel O. Itoje and Adedoyinsola Adeyeye, and also not forgetting Samuel Fanijo. Yes, it was an exciting lineup of speakers. And then we also had the episode 3, where we spoke about data privacy, I beg your pardon, ethics and AI in the digital economy. We're joined by Aderonke from Paystones, if you remember, such an interesting segment. And we're also joined by Kingsley Awodara. And then the fourth episode, which we held last week, Saturday, we were joined by Glory Olami Goke. We're joined by Freda Anyao and Tony Olarewaju, where we spoke about harnessing AI for economic transformation. And each of these conversations has brought unique perspectives, actionable insights, and a deeper understanding of how AI is shaping Africa's digital future. And today, we bring the series to a close with an equally compelling topic. Today, we're going to be talking about moving past the buzz, equipping Africa's infrastructure and workforce for the AI revolution. Ladies and gentlemen, as Africa continues to navigate the AI revolution, we're faced with an urgent need to ensure that our infrastructure and our workforce are equipped to handle the opportunities and challenges ahead. AI, as we have seen, has the potential and really is transforming industry. It's unlocking economic growth, and creating new job opportunities. And these opportunities, this potential has the potential really to grow if we would only move beyond the buzz and build sustainable foundations. And to help us unpack this critical topic, I am joined by my amazing co-host, Amaka, and two incredible speakers. And I'm just going to leave the room for Amaka. You know, she knows how to do it best. I'm going to be leaving
I
the room
hope.
for Amaka to introduce our amazing speakers to us. Amaka, over to you.
Thank you so much, Antonia, for having me again. It's so beautiful to always be in this pre-conversation. I mean, it's always beautiful to have our appetite, boosted up for the to embrace AI because this is where we are headed. This is where the world is right now. And so it's so beautiful to always have conversations like this. And just like you said, mentioned, we have amazing people that are with us today. So I'm not just going to waste time. I'm going to go straight to introducing them because I know they have a lot of things to tell us and we are going to tap into from the wealth of their knowledge. So I'm just going to introduce first and foremost, we have Lanre Basamta. I hope I pronounced the name very well. He's the CEO and co-founder of Optimus AI Labs, brings over 20 years of expertise in tech, business, and marketing. Optimus AI Labs leverages artificial intelligence to drive innovative solutions across various industries. Larry has held leadership roles at top African tech companies, including InterSwitch, where he managed a multi-million-dollar portfolio spanning 80 banks in 14 countries. He's an alumnus of Lagos Business School. He holds a master's in strategic marketing from the UK and a political science degree from Olabisi Onabanjo University in Nigeria. You're welcome, Mr. Larry. Good to have you with us today. Are you there with us, Mr. Larry?
Yes, I am. And I was just saying thank you. Thank you for welcoming me.
You're welcome again. Good to have you. And we also have our person. I wouldn't say he's a foreigner, he's part of us because I understand the relation we have with India and Nigeria. So yes, he's one of us. So he's no other than Mr. Manoj Ranavera. I hope I
Manoj.
pronounced that very well. Pardon me if I do not pronounce that very well. And I wish to learn the name anyways. So Mr. Manoj is the founder and CEO of Skilled Up Lives, helps early stage tech startups grow by connecting them with skilled global volunteers. With a career spanning SaaS entrepreneurship since 2004, he founded companies like Unified VU, Educare, and EbDex. He also established TechCelerate, a platform supporting tech founders through networking and funding. Manoj specializes in SaaS, I think that's SaaS strategy, investment, and M&A, while fostering startup ecosystems in the UK and Sri Lanka, reflecting his dedication to innovation and business growth. And I believe that's part of the reason he's here, his devotion and dedication to growth. So you're welcome, Mr. Manoj.
Thank you so much, Amaka, for welcoming me.
I what's the correct pronunciation of your name, please, if you don't mind? I hope I
Yes,
pronounced
it's
that very well.
Manoj. It's Manoj.
Did
So it's,
I get your name, Manoj? All right.
yes.
That's good to have you with us today. I'm so glad you're here. So we're going to get started into, and I'm going to pass on to Antonia to take us right into what we have for today.
Thank you, Marka, for introducing our speakers, and I'm sure our audience are really excited at our lineup of speakers today. And like I always like to boast and brag, AOT is all about impact, right? And you can see from all the speakers we've brought to you for this year's series that we're bringing people that are applying what we're talking about, not people that are just speaking over people's head, but people that are actually applying these principles and seeing them yield results. Thank you once more, Larry and Manoj, for being with us. And thank you, everybody, our remarkable speakers for joining us, audience rather, for joining us today. And before we dive into the question segment, let's set the stage for today's discussion. As I was saying earlier on, artificial intelligence is more than just a buzzword. It represents a transformative opportunity for Africa. But to move past the excitement and truly harness its potential, we must focus on the essentials, closing the digital infrastructure gap, workforce for AI-driven opportunities, and creating solutions that address challenges and part of us, because yes, at the end of the day, even though we are focusing in Africa, at the end of the day, we're looking at the world at large, impact at the world at large, and with that, we would move right to the question segment, and I would be starting my question with Mr. Larry. Mr. Larry, with your experience building AI solutions, how can Africa effectively transition from being consumers of AI technologies to creating homegrown AI innovations? Thank you, and over to you, Mr. Larry.
Okay, can you hear me? I believe you can.
Perfectly, yes.
I mean, I think the best way to look at it is that if Africa truly desires to be active players in the creation space, then we need to raise a lot more creators rather than consumers. Today, when we talk about AI, our nearest experience is as consumers. And so when you talk about AI, the only thing people think about are AI agents. Agents like GPT, like Gemini, like Perplexity, like Copilot. That is our experience today. And these experiences are not void. For you to be one of the leading creators, then you want to be building models. And for you to build an AI model, I mean, an AI-based model, it takes a lot of effort, it consumes a lot of infrastructure, takes a lot of money, takes a lot of time, takes a lot of specialization. And so I can imagine why Africa as a continent and Africans as players are not dominant in the creator space. However, the good news is that, I mean, to get involved in the creation process, we don't necessarily need to have to build new models. If anything, we can retrain and build build models on baseline models that already exist. And so if Africa wants to move away from just consumption to production, no pun intended, right? We have to raise more creators. We have to raise more AI engineers, for example, AI engineers who are able to train and retrain models, AI engineers who are able to build Nigerian or African specific agents, AI engineers who are able to train data, clean data, and use data to advance different use cases. I'll give you straight line some examples. For us at Optimus AI, we've been having this conversation. When we started our romance with AI, I mean, the biggest experience we could have was as consumers. We wanted to use AI tools to advance what we do. And that was fair. Okay. That was our first experience of AI. But over the last few months, we've begun to see the need for us to, using your word, become creators. And we started considering where exactly should we play, in what segment. And then we saw a great opportunity. I mean, there's an emerging a field of practice that is now called LLM Ops, which is actually a machine learning refinement of what we used to call DevOps. Okay, we're seeing opportunity there for African ML specialists to be able to advance the development, support, optimization of application infrastructure using AI. And so ultimately what it will be is that Africa needs to raise a new army of creators. And when we get these creators, then the options abound. I mean, there are different segments we can play, different opportunities to respond to. But I think the main thing we need to do is to raise a new generation of young persons who are either machine learning engineers or data engineers, who have an affinition and interest in AI, who are able to take the AI technology to transform and respond to the opportunities that we see, so that we're not just consumers using ChatGPT to write letters and projects, but using AI as a technology to solve real life problems. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Larry, for that insight. And while you're speaking, I'd like to acknowledge the presence of the founder of Echo Innovation Center, the one and only VGA, as we like to call him, the person of Mr. Victor Benga Afolabi, who is on the call. Thank you so much, sir. Such an honor to have you on call today. And while Larry was speaking, he actually dropped one of the Thank you, sir. You actually dropped one of the nuggets, which was producer versus consumer, and which I think is really important, right? The key really is shifting our mindset to be more producing conscious than being consumers. And I remember Amaka, the last segment we had where we had Freda on call, we were asking a question. We were like, if would we as Nigerians want to ride an automated car created by a Nigerian? And it was a really incredible turn of events because Amaka, what was the verdict?
I think you said that you're going to wait for Frida to ride it. After that, you're going to ride yours.
Yeah, really. So
Right.
I think just like we said, just really cultivating that mindset of being a producer rather than consuming everything, right? And with that, I'm going to be asking Manoj the next set of questions. Manoj is the co-founder of Skilled Up Life, and they're really passionate about preparing individuals for the workforce, right? And Manoj, what strategies do you believe are essential to equip Africans workforce with AI relevant skills?
Okay. Can I take a step back and perhaps just look at the opportunity? So I did a Google search, and I think anyone can do this. So African continent has about 1.4 billion people. If you take North and South America, that's come to about 1 billion, and you got India over 1 billion, China over 1 billion. So when you look at the population, it's a huge population that's in African continent. Obviously, that's spread across 50 odd countries. And I also did a quick search. I mean, these are not fact-based, just what Google is throwing at me. There's about 12,000 tech startups in Africa. And when I look at try to understand what are the biggest problem. Poverty is still a big problem. Healthcare is a problem, but you also got 1.8 trillion debt burden. So the more revenue you generate, most of that through tax, it goes to pay the debt. So these are some of the biggest problems that Africa seems to have. Now, obviously, I'm speaking from outside Africa, and I don't claim to know enough about the Africa. So then if you look at your population, then people are the true capital of any part of the world. So how do we get this 1.4 billion people? Out of that, obviously, I presume quite large portion of that is in the between 18 and above. So how do you actually harness this talent pool to help Africa rebuild or grow? So I think that's a big challenge. So where we come in is that we believe that we could play a small role. But we can't, where we can come in is to help people to get the necessary experience so that they can start to solve their own challenges. So if I go back to your question, what are we doing in terms of getting the workforce ready for, in terms of upskilling? So one of the, what Skill Up Life does is it gives an opportunity for anyone over 18 years old to acquire this experience and skills necessary to go and get a job or get a promotion or to career transition into a new area. And more people are joining us they're joining us from oil and gas, traditional banking, and other non-tech sectors because they all keep hearing about tech, and they want to be part of this revolution. So some good examples are that, we recently had an individual from Nigeria who joined us with about 20 years experience. His previous experience has been in B2C, and he wanted to break into B2B, and he managed to get the necessary experience through us. And then even before the volunteer term finished, he managed to land a job. So that's one specific example. But when it comes to AI, what we need is we need to partner with more organizations that provide education. Now, we have started to do that, and we recently signed a partnership with ECO as well, thanks to yourself and Victor and others. So we need to explore saying, we are here to provide the experience, but we need to partner with others who provide the education elements. And then what we are also doing is that, we are trying to help companies, early stage tech startups. And if I draw an example of a Ghanaian tech startup that we helped recently, what they are trying to do is they're trying to solve another big problem that Africa has, which is agriculture. What they want to do is to help more farmers, and through microfinance, they want to help more farmers to find the capital they need to grow their product. Not just that, once the product is, once it's produced, they want to also find a way to find sales for those farmers as well. So what they did was to come to us to tap into our talent pool to basically help them acquire more micro investors. But again, looking at that platform, what they have created, they have some way to go to bring AI into that. So while AI sounds sexy in terms of implementation, you got to still get that foundation in place. So if you look at their situation, they need micro investors, they need farmers, they need everybody else who could support that ecosystem. So they need to get the foundation in place before they can start introducing AI. But AI can speed it up. So I think there's a lot to do, and we realize we have a small part to play. But I think the different type of organizations need to come together to help Africa and the world.
Thank you so much,
Thank you so
Manoj.
much.
And how, yes, Amaka, while Manoj was speaking, he spoke so much about collaboration, right? And getting the foundations right, educating the youth, right? And just brought to mind some of the nuggets that our speaker had shared during the past session when they spoke about how AI technology is just AI is an enhanced, and it's getting the foundations right, because at the end of the day, AI is just here to assist us in making our work more effective. It's not going to do the work for us, right? So education is key. Yes, Amaka, you're about to say something.
Yeah, so I was going to go on with a following question to with what he has said, because you have highlighted a part of the things I want to talk about, so collaboration, and then he said we have a lot of things, we have a lot of work to do, right? So I was going to ask a follow-up question as to, so what are the barriers preventing African nation in this case, from fully, leveraging on AI for economic growth? I was going to ask you.
I think
Yeah.
before you can talk about AI, I think you got some fundamental issues. So I'm speaking from UK. We take, for example, broadband as a standard thing. It's a part of life. It's almost as it's not as important as water and food, but it's very close to like a very basic essential now. But in Africa and many parts of the world, having a decent internet connection is still a big problem. So you need to get that infrastructure sorted out. Without infrastructure, is extremely difficult. There are many situations where we try to have a meeting, and I mean, even now, it wasn't very clear all the time that. So I think there are some fundamental problems that need to be addressed. So AI itself not going to fix that. So once once you have a better infrastructure, then I think AI can help to grow. And better infrastructure means there's more chance of more businesses coming into markets, and And I think there's another infrastructure issue I want to bring to notice. One is that payments. Payments has been a big problem for Africa in terms of my understanding. So you have companies like Flutterwave and others that came into market, but they themselves are struggling because they are latching on to payment providers like MasterCard, Visa, etc. So when I looked at, my quick research is that you don't have your own payment mechanism. You don't have anyone similar to MasterCard or Visa born out of Africa that's catering for Africa. So I think there are many issues around payments in addition to broadband.
Thank you so much for that wonderful response to that. Mr. Larry, I want to ask you something. You said something about being a creator other than being a consumer, right? Are you there with me? Yeah, so I'm very, very concerned about how we can get young ones to be creators.
Okay, I mean, just before I try to answer that, I wanted to sort of provide some bit of a rethought to Manoj's comment. I mean, just to say that maybe payment is one of the fewest things that Africa has really thrived at, frankly. From a payment infrastructure perspective. For example, from a digital payments perspective, Nigeria ranks one of the top 5 countries in the whole world. From an instant payment, settlement systems and the likes. And you were talking about card schemes like MasterCard and Visa. In fairness, Africa got into the payment game much, much later. And so it may be a tall ask to expect Africa to have the same level of maybe the infrastructure, but surprisingly, we still have a few. I mean, I used to work at InterSwitch. InterSwitch is maybe one of the most impactful fintechs in Nigeria and across the continent. InterSwitch is actually present in about operationally present in about 5-6 African countries. And in Nigeria alone, InterSwitch has issued about 70 million debit cards. So payment is one of those very few things where there's a lot of impact we have made as a continent, particularly because the erstwhile fiscal infrastructures were very limiting and inefficient. So it was more easier for us to digitize and scale. I mean, I just wanted to say that, but every other thing you said, completely agree. For example, in my house, I have about 4 options of internet, and there's no guarantee that any one of them works well. So, I mean, perfectly, you're spot on. Okay, so back to your question, Amaka, if I got your name correctly, right?
Yes, correct.
Yeah. And you were asking about what we need to do to raise an army of young persons who would help us to not just be consumers. When Manoj was speaking, I saw a video today about India, actually. And the speaker was talking about the impact of your PM, who I have strong admiration for, by the way, Manoj. And was talking about the 3 spheres of infrastructure that India has developed rapidly over the last 10 years. And I think from watching the video, that is how I've shaped my perspective of infrastructure. So he was talking about the leaps and bounds development India has experienced in the fiscal infrastructure space. He was talking about the new rail lines, I think more than 30 kilometers the last 10 years, which was more than the whole of Europe. I mean, I was very impressed. And then talked about road, talk about power, talk about this. So on the fiscal side, I'm not sure there's a lot that startups or individuals can do to significantly bridge the infrastructure divide. And some of what Manoj was saying earlier is actually it needs to be led and actively by government. And so it will be overambitious and unrealistic to expect individuals to, lay fiber cables, for example, provide, either fixed satellite internet or the likes. We're seeing some private sector investment from the likes of the richest man in the world, Elon Musk. I'm not sure there are many Nigerians with his fat budget to be able to make such unbelievable investments. So on the first side is fiscal infrastructure. The second side is the digital infrastructure, which leading organization entrepreneurs may be able to do, but I'm not even sure that this is a sphere for startups, for individuals. So when you talk about digital infrastructure, like, I mean, some of it, connectivity, internet access, some of it will be clusters and incubator and accelerators where people can cluster and learn from themselves. Of course, maybe like some of the effort that the government is leading, where there's an AI, not just an AI policy, but an AI team that is working to digitize Nigerian language and working together for us to be able to create a locally fitting and appropriate solution. I mean, we can do a lot, but I'm also not sure that this is a one-man play. So maybe you find leading organization, influencers like yourself, the Office of the Minister, stakeholder groups like AI Nigeria and the like making a difference there. But where I really, really, truly believe that individual startups can make a difference is in the social infrastructure space. And like I said, I learned today, but it's been fascinating for me how social infrastructure is maybe not noticeably visible, but it makes the biggest impact. And what do we mean by social infrastructure? We're talking about awareness. We're talking about people, raising a new army of people. I mean, I like some of the thoughts that Manoj shared. For example, on our side, we have a nonprofit that allows us to educate people about AI. I'll tell you one interesting thing that we're doing. I think within the next 60 days, we are launching a TV show on Channels TV. The title of the TV show is called AI and You. And why did we design this program? Sometime last year, we met with the founder of Channels TV. We saw that AI was coming. I mean, AI was already here, but we saw that more than many, it was still a buzz. Just as you said, it went above many people's heads. And so when you talk about AI, it was the buzz of having ChatGPT or Gemini on your phones. But the real use cases for AI for Africans and by Africans was largely not there. And they wanted to demystify AI. I mean, the objective for us was to democratize AI knowledge. We thought that the best way to do it was to use traditional channels to talk about this very stratospheric next-gen technology to help people understand. And so we broke down AI from a perspective of everyday living, AI in relationships, for example, AI helping you to get jobs, AI helping you to improve your health and well-being. And these are real-life scenarios about real-life issues that day-to-day Nigerians and Africans feel that AI can significantly help and impact their lives today about it. And so we decided to demystify AI, but not just demystify it, create awareness, get many people more interested in the whole concept of AI, and get them involved so that we can not just be consumers, but be creators. I'm going to stop with this. You were asking a question about if you'll be able to ride a self-driving car. And that's exciting, right? I mean, because there's a lot of that right now on Tesla. I mean, my friend came in from Canada a couple of days ago. I was with him yesterday. We're having dinner and was telling me he just bought a Tesla and I was quite excited. I mean, there are a couple of Teslas here, but we don't have a lot of autonomous vehicles here, okay? And so maybe that is over people's heads. Maybe they only see that in the movies. Maybe it's not the reality of Nigerian lives, okay? But when you think about the potential impact of AI in their lives, I mean, so when I train, and we have spent a lot of time training teachers, we made a commitment to train all of the staff of Channels TV, which we've done more than four versions of the training. We're doing massive trainings just to help people accept AI. And one of the first things I say when we train is, guys, AI is not just coming, AI is here. You already use AI. I mean, I was coming from an event this evening. I drove down to my house with my Google map. I mean, what makes one application on my phone being able to direct me home to a house that I live way better than I could possibly do? That's AI. I mean, what keeps you on TikTok for so long? Because all the videos on your TL are strictly attuned to your interest is AI. I mean, when I train people about AI and I tell them about Facebook, I joined Facebook 15 years ago. And if you join Facebook around the time that I joined Facebook, you remember the long form we used to fill. Because the machines were not so smart then, AI was not so brilliant. So you needed to feed all of the information into Facebook so that Facebook can understand what you like. Today, all the social networks don't care because every video you watch, every content you like, every video you rewatch tells a story. And there's AI behind just understanding, and the algorithms are there feeding you what you like in such a way to make you dependent. So AI is here. And if we can demystify the knowledge, get people interested, create awareness, train many more people, we'll find that we can create a consolidated social infrastructure that can help us become more creators rather than just consumers. I'll stop there for now.
Thank you so much, Larry. But just to add, I think the issue with the automated car, I think it's more of a trust issue rather. I think Nigerians would want to really ensure, that everything is proper before we drive an automated car. But really, I think it's all about the mindset, really educating the people to understand, right? And you spoke so much about demystifying AI, and you gave a case study. And like Freda cited out the last session, she said AI is not ChatGPT. Once you just say AI, a lot of people just assume you're speaking about ChatGPT. And just to ask Larry, I just asked you a quick question also. Could you share a case study really, or an African specific problem, and what lessons can and how what lessons can be scaled really? Thank you.
Okay, thank you. So, the best example really is the problem we are solving. So, we didn't start our company as Optimus AI. When we registered the company, the name of the company was Pesa Labs. We saw an opportunity. My last role was as Vice President Mobile Banking at InterSwitch. Like, I think Amaka read when we started, I was responsible for, almost a $10 million year-on-year business. I was managing about 84 banks in 14 countries. It was nice, but it was also the most impactful software development business in Nigeria, maybe Africa, but certainly in Nigeria. I was managing banks that were responsible for more than 100 million users. And so every day my team was responsible for serving users across the continent, which was exciting, but also challenging. And so when it was time for me to exit InterSwitch and go set up, we saw an opportunity to build something that was going to make a difference, right? And so we started as Pesa Labs. But very much like yourself and myself, we started looking at this AI buzz, and it was more than a buzz. ChatGPT was the first app to reach 100 million users in about 30 days. That was a record because every other person needed years. ChatGPT arrived at this in, 30 days. So something was there, okay? And then we started paying attention, and then we were like, no. This is not just a buzz. It was going to be so impactful. Bill Gates, one of the biggest tech visionaries, said that AI is going to be as consequential as the internet. And if you know anything about the internet, it's the single most significant, realization in the whole of humankind is the internet. It's bigger than everything, than aeroplanes, than trains, than everything else. Okay, it's the internet. And so when Bill Gates started saying, oh, AI is going to be more consequential than the internet, then we started paying attention. We got so lost and fascinated by it that we felt it was significant enough for us to change our strategy and our names, in fact, from Pesa Lab to Optimus AI. We got our investors, our board members, everybody lined up, and we thought this was significant enough. But, it was not just the buzz. We're like, what's the possible problem to solve? Just like you were asking. And the lowest hanging fruit we saw was in the education space. Why education? First is because one of the biggest barriers to indigenizing AI in Africa is data. There's not a lot of clean data. There's not a lot of arranged data, but we saw a lot of data in the education space. There's perhaps no space in Nigeria where Nigerians are equal content creators like others all over the world, like education. So we have everybody's a teacher, everybody's a student, everybody's writing, everybody's developing past questions, everybody's teaching. And so there's a great opportunity for us to access an unbelievable, almost limitless world of data. So we started with education. And then we saw a real life opportunity. I'll give you some data. In all of my adult life, it has never happened that more than 76% of all the students who wrote an exam failed. But this year, for example, in May this year, 76% of all the students who wrote JAM failed. They didn't have 200. And about 0.03% only had more than 300. Unbelievable failure. And so we're asking, how is it that, this is the best time to exist. This is the best time in the history of mankind to be human. We have access to a limitless world of resources. We have access to the best technologies. I must admit the technologies are distracting. But hey, let me just continue the story, right? We have access to the biggest deepest, widest assets to support learning, yet we find that students are not learning, and then we're able to arrive at some of the biggest fundamental problems with learning. It is that when you get into a class, a teacher only teaches in one way, teaches to maybe 30, 40 students, something that those 40 students needed to be taught in 40 different ways. It was impractical to expect a teacher to teach every topic, every subtopic in 40 ways. And so we saw that AI could help with personalized learning. It could break down concepts. We could create something that was called personal teacher that could transform not just the learning experience of our students, it could literally guarantee them almost near exam successes, and it could make learning and teaching much more rewarding and fulfilling, not just for the student, but the teacher. So we decided to take on education. I mean, we built a model, an agent. No, we built our model. We built an agent on it. We trained the model on Nigerian curriculum. We contracted about 24 teachers. We worked with them about 5-6 months. They developed a lot of content for us. We trained it, and then we built Nigeria's first fully AI-powered learning management solution that is making wave all around the country. So, I mean, there are different use cases. I'm just using our experience as an example to say there are real-life problems, like Manoj said, that only Africans can solve. And so if you take AI as a technology, not as platforms like GPT and the likes, you take AI as technology, you realize that in the right hand, technology can do wonders. It can be anything. And so if you look at the problems, like our biggest challenge now, food security, actual security, what's it called, environmental sustainability, I mean, so many issues, even election integrity and the likes, AI can significantly help. If you look at AI as technology and use it to transform the nation, I'm sure we can make a world of difference. Thank you.
Thank you, Larry. Yes, we can make a world of difference, and that's what AOT 6.0 is all about, making impact, right? And with that, I would like to ask Manoj my next set of questions. Manoj, and I really liked the lineup of speakers because Manoj is also giving us a different perspective, right, of what we have going on in Africa, right? Manoj, you're speaking so much passionately earlier on about infrastructure, and I gave us some statistics also. From your perspective, with AI advancing rapidly, what specific industry in Africa do you see, again, from your perspective, do you see as being most ready to benefit from AI integration, and why? What are the reasons behind your thoughts?
I don't know whether I'm knowledgeable enough to answer that question, but I will try to have a guess. So I think one of the things I noticed. So I got to declare this that before I started Skilled Up Life, I didn't really know anything about Africa. For example, I didn't know a single Nigerian. We now have a large population of Nigerians on Skilled Up Life. My own team has about 60. So I think one of the things I noticed is that if we talk about Nigerians specifically, they seem to have a lot of education. They seem to be, a lot of people seem to have multiple degrees, certificates. So there seem to be a thirst for education. And if they are getting the education, then how is that going to transfer to creating opportunities for everybody? Creating businesses like Landry talk about more creators. So where's the gap? So our role is to try to provide them with experience. But one of the other things we see is that, when it comes to certain aspects, some of the soft skills are missing. Simple things like attending meetings on time. Yes, the broadband connectivity issue may play a role in that, but I think some of the soft skills seems to be missing. So what are your question is about what might be the areas that AI could play a big role. Now, you talk about Landry, about food security. I mentioned briefly about poverty. So, agriculture could, if AI can help agriculture, especially with, I think that there are a lot of advances in agriculture. If you look at around the world where AI is used, perhaps that could be one area, because if you have better, if you can put if you can take care of the food security issue, then people have food, people are not hungry anymore, right? And people seem to be educated. So you could now go into maybe look at other industries. I don't know how manufacturing is in Africa. I'm in the UK. We lost manufacturing completely. Now we are trying to re-energize that sector. So I can't talk enough because I don't know enough about the specific problems you have. But all I can say is that people seem to be hungry for education. They are getting some level of education. It's about then applying that in the right area to 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 help the whole Africa.
Thank you so much, Manoj. And speaking about that, and I think it's actually one of the challenges we're having. And in fact, our last speaker, okay, I do make a lot of reference to all the sessions we have because journey really. The last speaker was speaking about how the problem we have in Nigeria per se, it's not the problem of no job opportunities, but the problem of skill gap, meaning that the jobs are there, but then there are not enough skilled individuals to take on these roles. So, and you just cited really one of the challenges we have where we have a lot of certified individuals on paper, but they cannot apply supposedly the skills they have acquired to real life situations, solving real life problems. So what do you think would be the solution to mitigating this? Thank you.
Sorry, are you asking me or Landry? Not sure.
Yes, no, I'm asking you,
Okay,
Manoj, because I
okay.
know you're
So,
very
so
passionate about
yes.
education.
So I mean, we got to play a role to play in here, and what we're trying to do is trying to provide people with experience and turn what they learn in the education setting into demonstrable skills. However, then it's up to them to take those and turn into reality. Uh, I don't know enough to comment on the entrepreneurialism of the African population. So that's not something I've had time to think about. So if they have the knowledge, if they have the skills, how many of them are willing to go and create something? I don't know whether there are any initiatives to help them. I think public policy, government policies has to also support them. I don't know whether there's sort of like grant funding in places to let people try out certain things. Um, so 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 if we agree that we need more creators to try and create companies, businesses, various type of organizations, then yeah, I think it's worth looking at what's stopping them do that. Is the culture such that people look at that as a risky environment? So if we rewind UK, for example, 10, 15 years ago, failure was considered as a big issue. Nobody wanted fail. So that stopped people trying out. But now failure is fairly accepted. So I think, there may be other issues that stopping more people trying to set up businesses. So I don't have any evidence on whether they are or they are not at the moment.
Thank you so much, Manoj. Larry, I don't know if you also want to speak to this.
Yeah. Sorry, you want to refresh my mind about the question?
Okay, how to really like easy way of ensuring that we're raising, you spoke so much about building a younger generation, building our generation with people that are more producer focused than consumer focused. And while Monaj was answering the question, he did cite one of the challenges that we're facing in Africa, where we have a lot of graduates from school but aren't able to put to work the supposedly skills and knowledge that they should have acquired from school. So what do you think the solution is to solving this?
I mean, one of the thoughts that Manoj shared, that I mean, every every man and woman of good conscience will admit is how very academic Nigerian and Africa's education has been. Okay, we spend a lot of man hours, a lot of assets in going to school, copying a degree, and then you find that we have literate but unskilled people. Is a desperately sad scenario. I mean, I run a startup of 30-something people, and even me, as small as we are struggling to fill very significant role for many months, okay? And so it is depressing when you have to interview more than 20, 30 people to find a resource that is passable. And so I think we need to maybe see education as on critical life support that requires serious intervention. I mean, that's the first. The second is to say that we need to shout from the rooftops about how education is failing, how we need not just regulators, policymakers, educationists, and everybody to sit up and make our education more relevant. The need to review curriculums, the need to make it adaptable. Let me give you some clue. Last year, one of the reasons why we changed our name to Optimus AI was that we knew that after the full academic year, following the unveil of ChatGPT, we knew that the academics were going to lap it up. And so 1 year after, when the new session resumed in September, university, I mean, some of my board members and some of our investors are based out of Canada in Toronto. And immediately, UOT, for example, University of Toronto, Stanford, and many of the schools started running full-fledged AI program. Even one of my director just finished one of those senior executive AI programs from Stanford, because that's the way education is. Education responds to the reality of life. Everybody suddenly saw that AI is not just a concept, it's become the reality of our lives. Education woke up and started understanding it so that it can teach others. We are still teaching, you will be surprised, we are still maybe teaching COBOL and BASIC in our schools, which are language from 50 years ago. I mean, I was at an event where computer scientists, people who studied computer scientists, were shamefully saying that they studied for 5 years in school without computers. How does anybody study something without that thing? How is it possible? I mean, I went to a computer school in 1997. And even then, as a young, very illiterate boy, I knew that what I was being taught was near useless to me. I mean, I didn't figure it out, but it was so misnomer that it wasn't applicable to my real life scenario. And so I think that we need to shout at the rooftop, which is number 2. Number 3, which is what Manoj and the likes are doing, is now to say, for those who are already out of school, how do we rescue them? Okay, we need to now provide post-school education that is relevant, meaningful, useful, contextual, time-appropriate education. And that's why anybody who sits on their degree is not meant for these times, okay? Just go back to the farm, God bless you. Because, I mean, one of the biggest advantage of tech is also its biggest weakness, is what we call the speed of obsolescence. Before, it used to be that if you bought a phone, the phone will use about 4 or 5 years. And then eventually it became 2 years. And then eventually became 18 months. And then eventually became 1 year. Now it's every 6 months. I mean, I just heard there's iPhone 16, whatever, they just released. This is November. By next year, by next year, May or June, there's going to be another iPhone 16X or something. It's every 6 months now. And so technology is always moving. Our life, our world is always moving. So education needs to be adaptive, needs to be relevant and contextual, okay? And so people like Manoj and whatever it is that you're doing right now, and people like ourselves, we need to provide that framework, okay, that allows people to want to learn, and not just want to learn, but they can learn things that are useful for them and for the society. And then the last thing we'll need to do is what we'll call research and development. Research is trying to light a candle into the future. What more is out there? Okay. Africans are still excited about ChatGPT, but you will be surprised. The ChatGPT that we all know is 3.0. They are releasing 5.0 now, and there's already full research being done on 6.0. Okay, this is like 5 generations after. We are still stuck on GPT 3.0. I use 4.0 plus, right? But even me, there's a 5.0 that's going to be released, and there's already full research in 6.0. That is actually what education is. Education is from the Latin word called educare. It's to lighten the path, it's to pull out. That's what it meant. Okay. And so if our education is not looking into the future, we would always react. We will always only respond to our immediate need. We need to be looking at what are the challenges of the future. I mean, 20 years ago, we didn't have terrorists in Nigeria. We didn't have this security madness. All the crisis was tribal conflict and ethnic conflict. Now, I saw that we have a whole new army of terrorists coming from the Republic of Niger. They are not Nigerians, they are Nigerians, and they are collecting taxes from Nigerians in Sokoto State. They are the government. I mean, we have problems of today that we couldn't have anticipated yesterday. I mean, we could have, but we didn't. And there's certainly going to be a problem of the future that if we are not paying attention to, we will not be able to anticipate or prepare for it or respond to it. So I think education should show us the light way into the future so that we prepare for the future with confidence, clarity, and then we're able to face it as best as possible. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Larry. That was really like a masterclass in so
Sorry, we can't hear you, Antonia.
I was going to say that too.
So
it's really insightful. I'm looking at the clock and it's 5:57 already. I don't know. The time just zoom. Okay, can you hear me
Can
now?
I sort of add something that what we've observed
Yeah,
with
definitely.
Skilled Up Life, that we've seen a couple of Africans who volunteer through us are now setting up tech startups. So I think there's a possibility that we could not just help people get real skills, or we could also help people become entrepreneurs. But we started seeing this recently. And I think I think there's a big role we could play, but we can't do that alone. So we need more partners, especially education partners. We need accelerator partners because we can teach how to build teams, but the accelerators need to come on board to teach how to build a business. We can't do everything ourselves, but I believe we can play a part.
thank you so much, Manoj. I mean, that also screams the collaboration we're talking about. And just to also further say something with regard to what Larry has said, we cannot overemphasize the very essence of education in fostering the adoption of AI. From the previous editions we've had so far, we had the speakers highlight and iterate the very essence of education. Education is very fundamental, to the point we also said, how about we incorporate the study of AI, where we have these and catch these ones even at the secondary school stages. It will help them, boost the drive for the adoption of AI. And that will translate to a very robust economy that we're looking at for. Thank you so much for wonderful sessions. I want to get your last thoughts on this because we are running out of time. This is just 7:59. So I want to get your last thoughts on this, Larry. What do you think? What would you say your last word on this?
Yeah, so maybe the best way to end is so some of the thoughts Manoj shared. So when we talk about collaboration, it sounds, for want of a better word, it sounds sexy, right? And usually in tech, when we say collaboration, everybody says, I mean, we should collaborate. But there's an ancient Chinese proverbs that I talk about because I work with young people and I train a lot. So I like to speak in parables and proverbs because people remember those anecdotes better than the many words that I share. There's an ancient Chinese proverb that says, if you want to go fast, you go alone. But if you want to go far, you go with others. The best way to exemplify it is the most valuable resource in the world is human beings. I mean, I know it's difficult to understand, but I like to break it down. So today, one Bitcoin is about 60, 70K USD. One barrel of oil is about $70. One bar of gold is about 2,500. $1 is 1,730. And just imagine what the world is doing for what they think is valuable. I mean, look at how many so-called recalcitrant Nigerians are trying to dupe others or trying to defraud others out of their Bitcoin because one Bitcoin can change their lives. Think about the unbelievable crime and degradation in the Niger Delta because of a barrel of crude oil. Think about what people are doing in Nigeria because of the value of FX. Think about what is happening in Zamfara because of bar of gold. But guess what? All of these things that we think are valuable, none of them is as valuable as one human being. I mean, the best way to even think about it is that all the Bitcoins in the world came out of the head of one person. So if you think about it, it means that no matter how powerful one person is, two people are incredibly powerful, almost limitless. And so if we truly came together, because I mean, startups are startups. I mean, it's because the word startup is trendy. Before, it would have been business owner or entrepreneur. But because of tech, the word startup became sexy. But if two startups came together or a cluster of startups came together, they become a movement. They're not going to be startups. They become a movement. And like I always say, there's no force in this world as powerful as an idea whose time has come. And so collaboration is not just desirable, it's necessary for us to be able to effect any change that we want. So that's how I'm going to end. The more we collaborate, the more we engage, the more we work together, we can make unbelievable things happen. And I mean, that's the only way to summarize this, if at all I can do that. Thank you.
Thank you so much for that. Collaboration, again, is the key. Very, very profound. And Manoj, over to you, please.
Yeah, I think what Landra
Your
said
last. Yeah.
make perfect sense. So we see ourselves sitting between education and the job market. And on one side, we are trying to help develop a global talent pool. On the other side, we are trying to help tech startups, especially tech startups that doesn't have funding to get that initial team in place so that they can grow and hopefully help create jobs in the future. And in that respect, I mean, we need to work with Ecos Innovation Center and others like that, because we ourselves can't fix everything. And I think when you partner, you become very powerful. And it's also, I mean, just like what you said, two people working together, it's two brands. And, you know, what we are trying to do is we're trying to create a global movement in our own humble way. You know, we are trying to say that education is important, but getting experience throughout your adult life is also very important. And once you have the decent education and experience, there's almost nothing you can't achieve. Obviously, you need to have the right environment in place, right government policies in place. Those things we can't influence, but we can certainly help people get the experience they want. And by partnering with others, we can help, let people create their own businesses. So I think there's a lot that can be done. So I'm very happy to be here, and thank you so much for inviting me.
Thank you so much, Manoj, and thank you so much, Larry. Once again, I want to thank the creators of the Art of Technology Lagos, that is Eco Innovation Center, and the Ministry of Innovation, Science, and Technology. Thank you, everybody, and thanks to our remarkable audience. Thank you for being here. Thank you for making the session worthwhile. I'm sure you've learned a lot, because I have learned a lot. And perhaps you're listening in and you haven't registered for the Art of Technology Lagos, the biggest tech conference in Nigeria. You can just go to the website www.aot lagos.com and register to secure your seats today, because man, this is the final day of the conversation and it's exciting. I don't want it to end, but it's past 8 already, and we'd love to stick to the time out of respect for our speakers and of course our remarkable audience. So if you haven't registered, go to the website now, secure your seats, and we look forward to hosting you that day. It's going to be exciting, going to be remarkable, going to be unforgettable. You want to register. Amaka, it's been remarkable being with you through the journey. I'm sure you've learned a lot from this session.
Yes, I've really, really learned a lot. It's so insightful to know what education. In fact, I got a tagline. Let me tell you something. I wrote it down when Larry said something. He said, "Education responds to reality of life," and I think that's very, very profound.
Profound.
I'm going home with that. I'm really going going home with that, you know. And then, of course, Manoj also highlighted the very essence and importance of collaboration. With
Yes.
collaboration, we can move mountains. So
And
very insightful. Thank you so much.
definitely. And I think we
to
can
have you
end.
guys.
Yeah, I think there's a bit of network lag, but thank you so much, Amaka. You've been fantastic. You've been amazing. Shout out once more to the founder of Eco Innovation Center, the VGA himself, Mr. Victor Binga Afolabi. Thank you, sir, for the opportunity to be here. Shout out to the business head. There are a lot of protocols to observe, but shout out to Madam Bola Tutu on call. Thank you so much, ma'am, also for the opportunity. It's really been exciting. And I think my tagline would be, we have to get our foundations right. Seeing you come December 5th, 2024 at the Landmark Event Center. Thank you so much, Manoj, for
Thank you.
gracing us with your presence. Thank you. Thank you. Bye, everybody.
Bye-bye.
See you
Take care.
5th
Bye.
December. Bye. Bye. Bye, Amaka.
Bye there. See you on the 5th of December, 2024 at the AOT conference.